Like many of us, our next speaker had a similar journey. It sailed through it to success because success has no timelines. Sarah Travis started in healthcare but advanced her career at Google. Over the last 2 decades, she has built a successful career at the intersection of tech and business. Today, as president of Roundel, which targets retail media business, she leads a team that revolutionizes media to drive value and joy for our guests and brand partners. We have Sarah with us here to share her journey and why it is important to keep an open mind, because there is no single path to success. The room is all yours, Sarah.
Thank you, Kiruthika, so much for the very kind introduction. It was actually really incredible to see. I don't think there was one single no in the chat when you asked the question you asked about how people are feeling about their careers and needing a plan. So hopefully I will be able to at least give you some tips and tricks on how I've managed through that throughout my career. No virtual assistant, you just got me, but really, really excited to be here. Excited to be part of this amazingly talented community of women. This is just such a special opportunity for us to come together as highly motivated women and to learn from each other, which is so important. I only just started at Target, gosh, it was 7 to 8 months ago. So I have not had the opportunity to attend and Elevate yet, but I was really excited to be here. I think Elevate is just such the perfect word for what we're here to do. It really hits on that idea of a community that's lifting and supporting each other up, which is the theme that I kept coming back to as I was thinking about the things that I'm eager to pass on to you guys today. One of the things that I've learned in my journey, and frankly, I wish I would have learned it a bit sooner, is the importance of connecting with and hearing from other women. As women, you all know this, we face a unique set of opportunities and challenges in the workplace. And learning from other women is so important, not just during those major life milestones like changes in career, changes in family, but I tap into and leverage my community of women in all of my day-to-day decisions, working through strategy, working through challenges with team members, and leaning into that community has been a really, really critical part of my journey. So why don't I share a little bit about my journey? And I should start by saying that my journey into technology did not start as a journey in technology. I probably wasn't as deliberate and thoughtful as most of you all were in thinking through that. I actually started my career in healthcare in Boston on the East Coast of the US. I worked at a nonprofit, then I worked for the state of Massachusetts, and I got myself in a place where I saw myself going really, really deep on healthcare, and I just knew it wasn't what I wanted to do. So like many people early in their career, I took the out of going to get my MBA to open up other opportunities and sort of open the aperture of what I could do from a career perspective. And in between the 2 years at my MBA program, I got the opportunity to intern at Google. And then I actually joined the company full-time right after I was done with my MBA program back in 2008. And again, I didn't join Google for the opportunity to be at a technology company. I joined because it was an opportunity. I love working with and leading people. I was able to go directly into a leadership role. Obviously, it was at a really well-respected company with a great culture. And I just ended up falling in love with technology and that intersection of business and technology, because I think that's where so much of the interesting work going on in industry is happening today. And I just love the fast-paced nature of technology, the constant change that we're always managing through. So at Google, I actually played a number of different leadership roles. So I moved roles every, call it 2 to 3 years. And my last role prior to coming over to Target was managing our partnerships with the largest retailers in the US. So during that role, I got to learn a ton about the retail industry, the retail media industry in particular, which is the space I'm in now, And I also got to learn a lot more about Target, which is such an awesome brand, driving connection, of course, to guests, but also in the communities that we serve. So when I was approached by Target, I just jumped immediately up at the opportunity because it was an opportunity to learn, to expand my scope, to shape an industry, but also to do that at a brand that I really admired. So that brings me to today, which I think, like I said, is about, maybe 7 to 8 months into my tenure here at Target, where I lead our retail media platform, which is called Roundel. And in case you're not familiar with retail media, we work with brands to help them reach guests with ads, with advertising, personalized ads, both across Target's properties. So think our website and our app, as well as across the web. And this is a really big and growing part of the digital ad ecosystem. It's expected to be about 20% of the total ads ecosystem in the US by next year. So again, a really fun space to be in, and such a cool company to be part of. Roundel, by the way, is an industry leader, and I'm wholly confident we'll continue to be an industry leader, but we're always just really being kept on our toes because retail media is very quickly evolving, and we've got new competition coming our way every single day. So it's a very, very cool place to be. But one of the things, honestly, that has surprised me, and has been such a blessing as I've come into Target and Roundel, is how we come together as a group of diverse yet purpose-driven teams from across continents, really with the mission to deliver joy for our guests. And when I say diverse, of course I mean across the continents on our global team, but I also mean our business teams and our technology teams. And what really anchors us is that culture of care and grow and winning together. And that culture drives a connection not only to each other, but also the guests in the communities we serve. So I am thrilled about the future ahead. I'm really excited for this career moment for me and continuing to build the Roundel business. That's my very brief career journey, which is obviously going to be unique for every person. But again, in thinking about maybe what would be most useful in terms of what I share with you all today and what helped me progress and think about my career, I wanted to share a few things, sort of moments that stand out that have really helped to shape my mindset. So I'm going to take you back to the beginning. Let's talk about, actually not the very beginning, as I was transitioning from healthcare into my MBA program. At my MBA program, which is Berkeley, they actually had an auction where students, so in between 2 years of an MBA program, you do an internship. And they had a program where you could bid on interviews with companies that you wanted to work for during that summer internship. And most of the students placed a couple points here, a couple points there. And I made the decision to put all of my points. I went all in on the interview at Google. So I got the interview, right, because I put all the points in, and I was sitting in my macroeconomics class just a few days after the interview, and I heard another student talking about how they landed an internship at Google. Obviously I had that panic moment. It was a clear sign that I was not on the yes list. And so that afternoon, I talked to my husband, and he suggested that I call to check in on what was going on and to reiterate my interest. Not something I probably would have naturally done, probably would have felt a little pushy for me to do that, but he recommended that. They gave me another shot. They re-interviewed me. And this time, I went in with a different approach. So the first time, I was feeling like I was in this position where I had to be this buttoned up MBA student, right? Like I'm the business person, I'm the MBA student. Rather than going in with that, I went in and I was 100% myself, and it worked. So the hiring manager actually told me after I started, so I got the job, which was amazing. And I heard from the hiring manager when I started that I would not have gotten the job had I not called back. So going all in, fighting for myself and fighting for what I want really worked. And looking back, in the moment, I don't even think I realized it, but looking back, I reflect on how much I learned in that experience. Had I not gone all in, had I not fought for the re-interview, and had I not taken my husband's advice to just be myself, my career would have taken a totally different path. There is no doubt that I would not be here speaking with you today. So I think it's really important in those moments, from a career perspective, to think about going all in, think about being yourself, and fighting for what you believe in and for what you believe you deserve. So another pivotal moment, so we're going to fast forward maybe just a few years, was when I received some words of wisdom from a person who took the time to pull me aside and invest in me. So when I was pregnant with my first daughter, so I know you guys can, if you could see the picture, she's now 11. But when I was pregnant with her, a very senior leader at Google asked to meet with me for 30 minutes. And so, anytime a really senior leader, your boss's boss's boss, asks to meet with you, you get a little bit nervous. And I didn't know what she wanted. But I soon found out that she actually didn't want to hear anything about what was going on in the business. She simply wanted to reach out a hand and share her thoughts on transitioning into becoming a working mother. This was an incredibly important moment for me because someone in my community cared enough about my success and that impending life transition to reach out and support me. And during our conversation, she shared a piece of advice that I will never forget. And that is that work-life balance never happens over a day or a week. It never happens over short stretches. It happens over long periods of time. So there are going to be days when you feel like you're giving more to work than to your family or your personal life. And there are days when you're going to feel like you're giving more to family and work might not be getting enough attention. And I can tell you from experience that over time that balances. So take the skip day to be with your kids, to be with your family, to be with your friends when work is going slow, and forgive yourself and don't feel guilty on those long days when you miss the kids' evening routine. You need to give yourself the grace to find the balance over time. Looking back, that was a lesson that I've carried, and as I've gone through my career, I have felt and recognized time and time again. But looking back, I also learned an important lesson from Claire on the impact that a strong community of women can have on each other. And I'll come back to that in just a minute. One other piece of advice that I really loved and really resonated with me about work-life balance was when, again, we're going to fast forward a few more years, was when I was considering interviewing for a pretty senior leadership position at Google. And I expressed concern as the role popped up and I was being encouraged to apply for it. I expressed concern to a female executive in my community that I just didn't feel like I could take on any more work. And that, I just was considering not going for it because of that. And she said, and again, this has resonated so much with me and I've carried it with me. Lots of women do this. They assume that a bigger role means more work when it just means different work. And it's so true and has been just really a game changer for me. So I can't reiterate enough that throughout my career, these moments have been so important to me. I've learned so much from the women around me. They've challenged me to think differently about balance, about what I can achieve in my career, and what it means to give back to the community. So I now see that moment when Claire called me into her office probably meant just as much to her as it did to me. And I have learned that being a mentor is just as rewarding as being a mentee. So where I'll land is going to be where I started, and that is to lean into the women around you. Use coaches, work with sponsors, continue to build your network with events like this to find the community you need. We need each other to build our careers and have an impact on the world around us. And most women are honored and eager to help elevate others. You're not asking a favor of someone. And then I would also say, just start paying it forward right away. It doesn't matter how senior you are. Be the type of leader that opens the door to others. And you'll see that it's not about giving and taking, it's about community. So again, I'm super thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for being here and listening in. I think I'm going to pass it back to Kiruthika.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So many valuable insights there. Now, I would like to ask you a few questions on what you just shared with us. First one is, it's interesting on how you really built on the importance of a community of women. Based on the changes which we face now in a remote environment, how do you feel we can build best of a community even in the remote working situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, because the fact is, I think it's a lot harder, right? And it's a muscle that we've all really had to work to build over the course of the past couple of years. Again, maybe simple advice, but I think it's really important you just need to be more planful about it. So the way that obviously being at an event like this is a great thing to do, take advantage of stuff like this. It's easier to attend events when you can do that virtually, right? When you don't have to be there live. I would say be more planful in terms of networking too. So this is something that I've seen people sort of let go a little bit as we've been managing so many virtual meetings. The way that I typically recommend people lean into this is start with one meeting, right? Start with one meeting, somebody you want to get to know. And then by the end of that meeting, have them have recommended another person to meet with, right? Like something is going to be sparked in that meeting, and then you can start a chain, right? A chain of networking. That's really worked for me. I'm not a natural networker, right? It doesn't come naturally to me, just grab time to people. But if I have a reason to meet with somebody, you can guarantee that out of that meeting, they're going to give you a reason to meet with somebody else. And then I would say, just do more. You got to be more deliberate about emotional check-ins and things, right? So we had Brene Brown speak at Target a couple of weeks ago, and she gave some nice ideas about asking people to describe, a couple of things that, describe in 2 words emotionally where you are. Like those types of things in a virtual setting, I think can also be really helpful.
That's super cool, and really cool ideas out there. I'm sure some of us who are listening to this would try out a couple of things from what you just heard. Thank you. Moving on to the next question. We touched on the power of going all in for what you're passionate about. What advice would you give to someone who feels that they went all in, but it didn't pan out the way that they wanted?
Let yourself off the hook, right? That's advice number 1. I think women especially, we're so hard on ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves with every decision that we make. And we're going to have missteps. All of us are going to have missteps along the way. And I think just reminding yourself, I don't know if you guys want to hear this, but reminding yourself that our careers are 40 years long, right? We work for a long time, and you're going to make missteps along the way. And just taking those moments to carry learnings with you. To not expect perfection from yourself, which is another trap that women fall into. And then take a step back, take that as a moment to take a step back and really think about what is most important and most critical to you. And again, that's a place where you can lean into your community, right? If you've got a strong community of women around you that you can be open and honest with, they can help you figure out what that next step looks like. And then after having those conversations with your community, put a plan together, right? And again, forgive yourself. Don't expect perfection. remember you have a long career, and any misstep that you make is going to be a learning moment.
So simple and powerful. Thank you so much. And we also have a couple of questions from our audience. But before that, we would love to hear from all the amazing women in tech who have joined us here today. And we'll get back to our audience questions now. The first question is from Vandana Gupta. Vandana, over to you.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you so much for all your insights. My question to you was, like, there comes a time in life where you want to learn something, new, something out of your comfort zone, maybe some new technology, right, which demands a lot of your effort and a lot of your time too. But for some reason, mainly family, when we are unable to fulfill that for ourselves, how do we inspire ourselves and keep telling that it's okay to take that small steps and take things slowly, instead of getting into silos and getting depressed because of same reason?
Yeah, I love that. I love that question. And maybe I'll go back to something I said in the last question, which is we have long careers ahead of us. And I think we have a tendency to get in this, like, I need to solve the thing now. I need to be super knowledgeable expert on topic X now. I think you need to be okay with multi-year plans, right? Especially as we get more responsibility, we take on more personally, more professionally. We have to recognize that timelines change, and that in order to grow, we need to, potentially take longer doing that. And again, I'll go back to the idea of being planful, right? So it could be something as simple as, like, commit yourself from 8 to 9 every morning. You're going to focus on it, right? And hold it in your calendar, or every Saturday for 2 hours, you're going to focus on it. I think recognize that timelines are going to stretch out. Make sure that you're planful, and make sure that the people around you and those people that are supporting you understand what you're looking to achieve and do, and get their sponsorship and support on something specific, right? Not just that you want to do it, but that you need that time on a daily basis or over the weekend to really focus on it. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Vandana, and thank you, Sarah. Our next question is from Nandini Nelson. Nandini, over to you.
Thank you. Hey, thanks, Sarah, for the very inspiring session. My question for you is, I often find myself in the crossways thinking, whatever I'm doing, am I supposed to be doing that, or is there something else for me? So I am not able to figure out my true role even yet. And I find confidence issues in between, but I try to take at the opportunity that I have. But how exactly do I find that this is the role that I want to be in?
Yeah, this is a really good one, and really common. So maybe I'll start by saying you're not alone in having that feeling. And Kritika started when she did my introduction and talked about this idea of people feeling like they need a fully built out, fully fleshed out career plan, and you need to know what every step is. I have never, and by the way, everybody has a different way that they need to manage their career, and different things work for different people. But I honestly don't know that there's any true role for anyone. I think a lot of people come up with this big, ambitious career plan because they think they're supposed to do it. And I've taken a more simple approach to my career planning, which has I think worked out well for me. It's kept me engaged. It's kept my energy up, and I've been able to take on new responsibilities. And that's just as simple as I ask myself a few questions, both as I think about taking on a new role, but also when I'm in the role doing the work. And that is, I ask myself, am I contributing something unique? And am I still contributing at the level, if I'm in the role, that I was when I started the job? Does the work give me energy? Am I around people I enjoy? And am I continuing to learn? And if the answer to any of those questions is no, then it's time for me to make a move to do something else. And typically the no comes from, am I learning at the same pace anymore? That pushes me. And none of those roles, by the way, every role I've had has not been perfect or the true role for me. but along the journey, the full journey, it's all sort of come together as a really, really meaningful career. So I just point to like understanding, and for those, like, those are the things that are most important to me when I think about my role and what I want to do. The questions might be different for you, but I think of those like 3 to 4 questions that you want to ask yourself in any role that you're looking for, any role you're in. And I found that to be really helpful.